Hello again, everybody. Just a reminder that this is a long tutorial with 30 lessons. In the description below, each lesson is listed and timestamped, so you can just click to skip to a specific lesson if you like. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to like and subscribe. With that, let's get right into it with our first lesson, which is on the Mac desktop. The first thing presented to you when you start up your Mac is the desktop. The Mac desktop will always have a desktop background or wallpaper. Nothing is ever going to be able to move behind your desktop wallpaper. All apps, icons, and windows appear in front of it. In this case, I have a plain blue desktop background image, but we're able to add our own photos here or other wallpaper graphics and images. We'll go over how to change the desktop wallpaper in the System Settings section of this tutorial. Aside from the wallpaper, your desktop contains the menu bar here across the top. The dock, which is currently here at the bottom of my display, and the desktop can show icons of drives, folders, and file servers here on the right. To change what icons will or will not be displayed on the desktop, go to Finder Settings and the General tab. As I check or uncheck hard disks and external disks, you can see the corresponding icon appear or disappear on the desktop. What you keep checked here is going to depend on which items you utilize and your preference as to whether or not you want their icon to show on the desktop. For a minimalist look to the desktop, keep these unchecked. To begin working with files and folders, we need to open a Finder window. This can be done a few different ways. First, if hard disks are set to be displayed on the desktop, double-click on the Mac hard drive icon, here in the upper right. To rename a disk, folder, or file here on the desktop or within the Finder, just select it and press the return key. That selects the text within the name, and we can enter a new name for that item. We can also open a Finder window from the dock by single-clicking on the Finder icon here. To open one from up in the menu bar, go to File, New Finder Window, and finally, the keyboard shortcut for a new Finder window is Command-N. Files from the Finder can be moved or copied onto the desktop. To move, just drag and drop the file or folder. That file is removed from the Documents folder and now exists only on the desktop. To copy, drag and drop while holding the Option key. This file is now in my Documents folder and on the desktop since I copied it rather than just moved it. The contents of the desktop can also be viewed as a folder. In my case, the desktop folder resides in the iCloud Drive folder. Notice only files are displayed here, not the connected drives or disks. If you don't have your desktop and files synced with iCloud, the desktop folder is going to be in the home folder for your user account. For more details on the desktop, see the Desktop Stacks lesson later in this section of the tutorial and the Desktop and Dock lesson in the System Settings section of the tutorial. Next up, we'll take a look at the menu bar. The menu bar exists at the top of the display. If you're using multiple displays, it's going to appear on each one. From the menu bar, we can select commands, perform tasks, and check the status of items like our Wi-Fi connection, battery, or time machine backup. The menu bar will always be here unless you're working in full screen mode with an app or set the menu bar to hide and show automatically, which can be done from the Control Center System Setting panel. We'll go over many more of these options in the System Settings section of this tutorial. If I take the Finder to full screen by clicking on the green button in its window, the menu bar will disappear. We can easily access it again by dragging the pointer to the top of the display. On the far left of the menu bar is the Apple menu. This remains here no matter what app is currently open. From the Apple menu, we can open System Settings, force quit a frozen app, shut down our Mac, or log out of the current user account. Directly to its right is the Application menu. This name will change depending on which app that you're currently using. As I go from the Finder to Safari, you can see the contents of the menu bar change. Along with the File, Edit, and View menus, we also have a History and Bookmarks menu while we're using Safari. The Application menu will usually contain the settings for that application, along with the Quit command. You can also always quit an application by pressing Command Q on the keyboard. Under the File menu are commands for opening, saving, or printing of the file that's selected or open in whatever app is running. Within the Edit menu, we always have our copy, cut, and paste commands, along with application-specific menu items. Over on the far right of the menu bar, the time and date is displayed. Click on this to display your notifications and widgets. We also have a button to invoke Siri and a button for Control Center. The rest of these menu bar items can be removed or rearranged. To rearrange them, hold down the Command key and then click and drag to move the item left or right. Drag an item down far enough and an X appears. Release and it's removed from the menu bar. Some third-party apps will have a menu bar item. This is the menu bar panel for Clean My Mac. This can be deactivated from that app's settings. The rest of what appears in the menu bar can be set from Control Center and Control Center settings, which we'll get into next. In macOS, Control Center resides in the upper right of the menu bar. In here we have controls for network connections, focus modes, stage manager, screen mirroring, our display, sound, and media playback. As we hover over the modules in Control Center, any that display a turn-down arrow can be then expanded with a click. Click on Display Controls, and in my case, because I have an external display connected to this Mac, it lets me adjust the brightness of both of those displays independently here. We can turn the options below on and off with a single click. To return to the main Control Center, click again on the Control Center icon in the menu bar. For easier access to any of these controls, we're able to click and drag them individually onto our menu bar. So I'll add the display controls into the menu bar. Now when I click that, it opens the same panel that we saw when it was clicked on from within Control Center. Also notice that the display controls aren't removed from Control Center. So the options and arrangement that we see in here aren't going to change much. To then remove items from the menu bar and only have them reside in Control Center, Command, click, and drag the item down off the menu bar, and when you see an X next to the icon, you can release it. Control Center has its own system settings section that lets us choose where to display a variety of controls. So I could add Shazam music recognition and keyboard brightness controls into Control Center. They get added below the default modules in Control Center. Notice that we're also able to add any of these into the menu bar. We'll get into some more detail about these controls later in the system settings section of this tutorial. Like just about every other Mac app, the Finder has a settings window that we can open from the Finder menu up here. Back in the desktop lesson, we used the General section to decide whether or not to display internal and external hard drives on our desktop. Also from here in the General pane, we can set what a Finder window will display when first opened. Currently, this is set to our Documents folder. Use Command-N to open a new Finder window, and the contents of the Documents folder is displayed. Switch this to iCloud Drive, and the next time a new Finder window is opened, the contents of that folder is displayed. Below, we have an iCloud setting. With this checked, the Desktop and Documents folder for the current user account is going to be synced with iCloud and thus contained in the iCloud Drive folder. This can also be set from iCloud System Settings. Next over is the Tags section. We can use tags on files or folders to make them easier to find. Here in Finder Preferences, we can set which of our tags to display in the Tags section of the Finder sidebar. Just check or uncheck the tags to include. At the bottom here, we can set up our favorite tags. Just drag and drop to add or remove them. These will then be available to apply to any file or folder when we right or control-click on it in the Finder. In the Sidebar tab of Finder Settings, we can display what items will be displayed in the Finder Sidebar. The Finder Sidebar exists in every Finder window, so you're probably going to want to display items that are used quite often. I'm going to hide AirDrop and show the Pictures folder here in my sidebar. Over in the Advanced pane, we can choose to display the file name extensions for all files. File extensions are usually just a dot followed by a few letters that let you know the file type, such as .pdf or .pages for a Pages document. This is just going to be a personal preference if you like to see the file extensions or not. Next, we have a few warning options that can be turned on or off. I like showing a warning for changing a file extension or emptying the trash. We can also now turn off the warning that occurs when removing a file from our iCloud Drive. With this checked, anytime we try to move a file that's in iCloud Drive to a folder that's not in iCloud Drive, a warning box will appear. I find that this can get annoying, so I leave this option unchecked. Check the Remove Items from Trash after 30 days option to have your Mac automatically, permanently delete things that have been in the trash folder for 30 days. This is a good way to prevent the trash from becoming overfull and possibly affecting the performance of your Mac. Check this box, and in Finder windows, folders are always going to appear on top of individual files when they're sorted by name. This will work in every Finder view. We can also apply this same rule to our desktop as well. In the bottom menu, we can set where the Finder will look when performing a search directly from a Finder window. This setting will not affect how a search occurs from Spotlight. Currently, Search This Mac is selected. If we enter a search for the term ICE while viewing the Documents folder in this Finder window, a really long list of results is displayed because this searched the entire Mac. Click on Documents up here, and only this Documents folder is searched. That limits the results to just a few files. So I usually like to change this preference to always look in the current folder rather than the entire Mac. We can always search the entire Mac by using Spotlight. The sidebar resides on the left side of every Finder window. As I navigate between folders and files, add Finder tabs, or open new Finder windows, the sidebar remains the same, making it possible to quickly view or move items into the important folders or locations stored in the sidebar. If you open a Finder window, but there's no sidebar, go up to the View menu. From here, we can show or hide the sidebar in any Finder window. The sidebar is organized into sections. I have iCloud, Favorites, Tags, and Locations. In Finder Preferences, we're able to toggle on and off items within these sections. If I deactivate all 3 iCloud items, that section is removed. Any folder can be added to the Favorites section in the sidebar by drag and drop. These can be folders anywhere on your Mac's drive, folders from an external drive, or even from a network folder. Just drag and drop to add a folder into the sidebar. Make sure to release when a horizontal line appears here, not when one of the other folders is highlighted. If I were to release this now, the folder will be moved into the one that I'm hovering over. We can now drag and drop files or folders from the Finder into this folder or any in the sidebar, or vice versa. Tags are also visible in the sidebar. Click on a tag to see all the files on the Mac that are assigned that tag. Notice that I have a few that are assigned more than one tag, like these that are both blue and orange. We'll talk more about tags shortly. The Finder sidebar sections can be hidden or shown with a click on the arrow that appears to the right of the name when it's hovered over. We can rearrange the sections or the items within each section by drag and drop. To quickly remove an item from the sidebar, right or control click on it and select Remove from Sidebar. Sidebars similar to this one in the Finder are utilized in several Mac apps, including Mail, Safari, and Photos. So becoming familiar with how the Finder sidebar works can help you with other apps on your Mac as well. View options can be accessed when in the Finder or desktop using the View menu, or utilize the shortcut Command-J. This allows you to adjust how the Finder and items on the desktop are going to be displayed. Let's start out from just the desktop with no Finder window open. I'll head into the View menu to open up View options. At the top here we have a Stack By menu. This applies to the Desktop Stacks feature, which we'll cover later on. In the next menu we can choose to sort the icons on the desktop in a few different ways. If I choose to arrange these by kind, they're going to be rearranged automatically. I won't be able to drag them to a new spot. They're locked in. If I then switch back to None or Snap to Grid, I'll be able to move the icons again and arrange them to my liking. I tend to prefer Snap to Grid here, just so I can arrange the files on my own, but also have them automatically align in a grid pattern. With these sliders, we can adjust how large the icons on the desktop are displayed and how far apart they're going to be spaced. Here we can change the size of the file name text to as small as 10 points or as large as 16. Use these buttons to have the file name displayed on the bottom of the icon or to the right. Choosing to show item info will add another line of text to some items. You can see that my hard drives display their storage size and how much space remains on them when Show Item Info is on. Show Icon Preview will display a preview of the actual file as the icon, rather than just a generic symbol for the type of file. With this PDF, the icon preview option on it displays the actual content of the first page of the PDF. Some users like to have a preview of the actual file, and others are going to prefer to see the generic symbol so they can know right away what type of file it is. So this is just a personal preference. Now let's open a Finder window. When I do that, the View Options panel will display a somewhat different set of options. We're able to adjust the view options for each Finder view mode. In Icon View, we get very similar options as we did on the desktop. One new setting here at the bottom is where we can assign a custom color or image to appear in the background of Finder windows. I'll set this to have a yellow background. So now only my Documents folder, when it's set to Icon View, will display like this. Within List View, icon and text size can be adjusted. And there are also several options for what columns will be displayed. I can then click on the top of any of these columns to arrange the files by that parameter. It can often be helpful to arrange files by the most recently created, by their file size, or by their kind. In Column View, we have Group By and Sort By menus. So we can group by kind, and then arrange by date last opened. The files and folders are divided into groups, and then within each of those groups, the most recently opened item is displayed at the top. In Gallery View, we can adjust the display size of the icon and toggle on or off the preview column to the right. A few options that aren't included in the View Options panel, but are included in the Finder View menu, are Hide or Show Tab Bar, Path Bar, Status Bar, and Sidebar. The tab bar will appear automatically when a new Finder tab is created, so I usually leave this hidden when multiple tabs are not open. When activated, the path bar is going to display at the bottom of the Finder window. It will show you the exact location of the folder that you're in. As I move into more folders, the path will get longer. Folders in the path bar are active, so I'm able to move files to them by drag and drop. The Finder status bar will display how many files are displayed in the current view, as well as how many are selected. It also lets you know how much room is left on the hard drive. If I select an external hard drive from the sidebar, it displays how much space is left on that drive. Hiding your sidebar will remove it from the left side of the Finder window. Select Hide Toolbar, and both the toolbar and sidebar are now removed. Just go back to the View menu or use the keyboard shortcuts to view the toolbar and sidebar again. Finder tabs basically allow you to have multiple Finder views in a single Finder window. You're probably already familiar with using tabs in pretty much any web browser. They've been in Safari for several years. Just like in Safari, I can add a tab to a Finder window with the keyboard shortcut Command-T. Here's my new tab. It opens with the Documents folder displayed, just as any new Finder window is set to. I can also create a new tab by going to the File menu and New Tab. Once at least 2 tabs are visible, we have an Add Tab button here. Any folder can be quickly opened in a new tab. If I right-click on a folder, I can just select Open in New Tab, and that folder's contents are displayed. This can be done from a folder in the sidebar as well. Click on each tab to display its contents. Click and drag on a tab to rearrange. I can pull a tab out from a Finder window to make a separate Finder window with it. I could then create tabs in that window. If you end up with a bunch of Finder windows open that you don't want to close, but would like to get organized a little better, you can go to the Window menu and choose Merge All Windows. Now all those Finder windows are displayed as tabs in a single window. We can easily move or copy files and folders from one tab to another by drag and drop. Hover over a tab for a moment, and it's going to open just like a spring-loaded folder. Tabs are a simple but very useful Finder feature. Tabs have been a great feature in Safari and more recently in the Finder. Now tabs are available in any app that can open more than one document at once. I'm going to use Pages in the example in this lesson, but tabs are going to work for other third-party apps as well, and they'll do it automatically without the need to be updated first. In the Doc System Preference pane, there's now a Prefer Tabs when opening multiple documents menu. In macOS Big Sur and later, this is found in the General pane of System Preferences. If this is set to manually, when I want to open or create a new document here in Pages, it's going to open in a new window. To move these into tabs, I need to go up to the Window menu and Merge All Windows. Now both documents are in a single window with two tabs that I can switch between, rearrange, or close, just like we can in Safari and the Finder. There's even a New Tab button here, which will let me create another new document in a third tab. Let's just keep one document open now and go into full screen. When I create a new document, it's added to a new space. I can still use the Window menu to merge these into tabs. Back in Doc Preferences, we can set this to happen automatically only when in full screen. So now while in full screen, when I type Command N to create a new document, it's placed in a new tab. No need for me to do it manually from the Window menu. Switch this menu to Always and tabs will be the default when opening multiple documents and apps, whether they're running in full screen or not. I'll open up 3 documents in Pages. Now let's try in Sparkle, a web design app. When I create a new site, it's automatically placed in a new tab. This can take a little time to get used to, but I'm really starting to like it. I think it'll be especially helpful for those of you that have MacBooks with smaller displays. Mission Control provides a quick overview of everything that's open on your Mac. We can use it to view all open Finder and app windows, full screen apps, and separate desktops. Split View allows you to utilize 2 apps at once in full screen mode. I have a few windows open here, as well as a couple apps in full screen mode. To activate Mission Control, I'm going to 4-finger swipe up on my trackpad. All the windows that I have open are resized and moved so they're all visible at once. In previous versions of Mission Control, if you had multiple windows open in one app, they'd be stacked on top of each other, when displayed in Mission Control. That's no longer the case. If I have several Finder and Safari windows open, as I do now, and I activate Mission Control, every window is displayed, no stacking. This can be changed in the Mission Control System Preference pane. Just check the Group Windows by Application box here, and now the windows for each app are going to stack. Now let's look at how to use Split View. If I activate Mission Control, I can see that I have one desktop and two full-screen apps open. Hover over these to expand them and see a preview of the window. Click to view them. I can drag another app up here to add it to its own desktop. I'll bring in this Safari window. Drag this over another desktop, and a plus symbol will appear. This is letting me know that I can activate Split View with these two apps. So I'll drop the Safari window here and have it side by side with Mail in full screen. Use the divider here to adjust how much space each app will use. Both of the apps are fully functional while in Split View. I could copy and paste something from Safari and bring it into a new mail message. I could even move an image from this page into the mail message. Four-finger swipe left or right to move between desktops like usual. Activate Mission Control, and the Split View desktop lists the two apps that it contains. Split View maxes out at 2 apps. I can't add another one here. Split View works well with Finder windows. I'll expand this Finder window to full screen, and then add the Notes app to it in Split View. Notice that I can choose which side I want to add notes to. While in Split View, I'm able to swap the side each app is on. To remove a window from Split View, move the cursor to the top of the display to show the menu bar. Then just click the green full screen button here to remove the window. The Notes app returns to my desktop, and this Finder window remains in full screen. The keyboard shortcut Command W will also work to remove a window from Split View. This, of course, will completely close the window. It's not going to return to the desktop. Two Finder windows can be paired in Split View together, which can be great if you're moving files. I can navigate through each of these Finder windows now, and drag any files or folders that I want to move from one to the other. So that's Mission Control in Split View, which allows us to utilize multiple apps together in full screen mode. Utilizing Split View with the Finder makes it possible to run your Mac almost solely in full screen mode if you want it. Another way to control what's visible on your Mac's display is to hide open apps. If I invoke Mission Control, we can see that I currently have 6 apps open on this display. To clean this up, I could, of course, quit one or more of these apps, or minimize their window or windows into the dock. Hiding an app will do pretty much the same thing as minimizing it, but it doesn't move the window into the right side of the dock. So to hide the Notes app, go to the Notes menu and Hide, or use the keyboard shortcut Command H. When I do that, the window disappears, but the app, in this case Notes, remains open, which we can see by the black dot that still appears under its icon in the dock. So I can now go on using other apps. To get Notes back, just click the Notes icon in the dock. By using Command H, we can quickly hide apps that we don't want to have in view at the moment, but also don't want to quit. I'm going to bring up Pixelmator Pro to the front. Things look pretty cluttered behind the Pixelmator window. So rather than hiding or minimizing all those apps individually, we can go to the Pixelmator menu and choose Hide Others, which also has a keyboard shortcut, Option Command H. Doing this hides all the open apps except the one that's being used, in this case Pixelmator Pro. This can be a great way to quickly clean things up on your display, or maybe access a file on your desktop. Go back to the app menu and choose Show All to unhide all the hidden apps. We could also click the icon of each hidden app in the dock to unhide them one at a time. So the option to hide apps is just one more available method of controlling what's visible on your Mac's display. It's a quick way to send an app out of view and be able to get it back in its current state with a single click. The macOS app switcher can only be activated with the keyboard shortcut Command-Tab. Doing this brings up an overlay that displays the icons of all the apps currently running on your Mac. To keep this on the screen, I need to continue to hold down the Command key. The apps are arranged with the currently active app on the far left, and then the previously active app to the right, and so on. The previously active app is the one that gets highlighted, so it's really easy to quickly switch between two apps. If I continue to hold down the Command key, each press of the Tab key will cycle through these open apps one at a time. If I stop on Safari here and release the Command and Tab keys, the Safari window comes to the front of my display, making it the active app. We're also able to select an app here with the mouse or trackpad cursor. Use the left and right arrow keys to move back and forth through the open apps. With one of the app icons highlighted, press the up arrow to invoke Expose, which will display all the open windows for that app. We can then use the arrow keys or the cursor to select and view any of the windows, whether they're open or minimized in the dock, like this Finder window. Highlight an app and press the H key to hide the app. Do the same and press the Q key to quickly quit the highlighted app. It's instantly removed from the app switcher display. We can even open files using the app switcher. If I jump to the Finder and select this Building Plans PDF, as I start dragging it, I'll hit Command-Tab and then drag the file onto the Preview app icon. Release and the file launches in Preview. So utilizing the app switcher with Command-Tab can be another way to increase the speed of your workflow and become more efficient with your Mac. Stage Manager is a new multitasking interface for Macs running macOS Ventura or later, as well as newer iPads with iPad OS 16 and later. Stage Manager doesn't replace any other multitasking features that macOS offers. We still have the dock, Command-Tab, Mission Control, and Spaces. Those are all still available, and can be used along with Stage Manager. So currently Stage Manager is turned off. I can activate it with a single click here in Control Center. For even easier access, click and drag the Stage Manager Control Center panel into the menu bar. With it saved up here, we can quickly toggle it on or off, or jump into Stage Manager settings. So with Stage Manager on, we can see that the two windows that I currently have open can now be shown or hidden with a click on the icons that move off to the left side of the display. If I launch another app from the dock, such as Calendar, and then the Contacts app, they also get added to Stage Manager. Again, a quick click on any of the icons will show that selected app and hide the currently displayed one. So we're able to cycle through these really fast. With Calendar open in Stage Manager, I can add an app or a Finder window next to it by dragging that icon in from the left side. That creates a group. Notice that when I switch to another item in Stage Manager, all three of those windows remain in a single icon group. To remove a window from the group, just drag it to the left side and it will minimize to a single icon. If I need to utilize most or all of the display with these two apps, as I move one to the left edge, the Stage Manager icons will slide away. To access them now, I need to bring my cursor to the left edge of the screen. Move the Calendar app back over again and those icons will return. We're able to permanently hide the Stage Manager icons from within Stage Manager settings. Turn off the Recent Applications toggle, and the left side icons will stay hidden, no matter where the windows are. Turn on the Desktop Items toggle to show files and drives that are saved or shown on your desktop. This third option deals with multiple windows from a single app. So if I open two more Finder windows in Stage Manager right now, they'll appear together automatically, with the three Finder windows appearing all at once. But turn this off, and only a single Finder window is allowed to be displayed at once. I can cycle through them from the Finder icon in Stage Manager. We can still use Command-Tab to cycle through open apps. And we can still activate Mission Control to view all active windows and spaces. So Stage Manager can be used alongside and integrated with the multitasking features you may already use. If you use multiple displays with your Mac, when Stage Manager is active, it's going to work on both or all of them at once. To deactivate Stage Manager, just click on its Control Center panel or deactivate it from the menu bar. Deactivating will return all windows that were stored in Stage Manager on the left side of the display to your desktop. Tags are a great organizational tool built into the Finder. A file or folder can be assigned one or multiple tags. Tags are searchable, and files can be viewed by tags in the Finder. Multiple tags can be added to one file, and tags can be assigned from the Save dialog boxes in an app. One of the biggest benefits of tags is that they work with files stored in iCloud Drive and in the iOS Files app. You can see here that tags has its own section in the Finder sidebar. I currently have 4 tags displayed here. What's displayed on your Mac may be different. If you don't see any tags section here, go to Finder Preferences and the Tags tab. If no tags are checked in this list, the Tags section won't appear in the Finder sidebar. Any tag with a check next to it is going to be displayed in the sidebar. We can add new tags here by clicking the plus button. Notice this new one doesn't have a color. So tags don't have to have a color associated with them. I can give the tag any name I want though. I'll call this one Stock Photos. We can right-click on any of these tags to rename them or assign them a different color. I'll name the blue tag Home and the purple tag Important. The tags that are unchecked can still be used. They just won't be visible in the Finder sidebar. We can get to all our tags with a click on the All Tags button here in the sidebar. Now let's assign some tags to files. I'll start with this loan comparison numbers document. There are a few different ways to assign a tag. First, I could select the file and then click the Tag button up here in the toolbar. I can then just click on any of the tags listed, or enter the name of a tag here. I'll assign the Important tag to this document. We can also apply tags by right-clicking on a file or folder and choosing Tags. Then select from the same menu. To make this faster, we can add favorite tags back in Finder Preferences. I'll drag the Important and Home tags in here. Now when I right-click on a file, I can assign one of my favorite tags with a single click. I'll assign the Home tag to this document as well. Now from the Finder sidebar, I can view this document when I select the Important or Home tag. I could move this document to any other folder on my Mac's drive and it's still going to appear when viewing the Home or Important tags here. We can also assign tags when saving a document. I'll launch Pages and open a new document. If I then wanted to save this, notice the Tags field here. I can then click to locate the tag I want, or just start typing its name. I'll assign this one the Home tag. And there it is. Now let's assign a tag to a folder. I'm going to assign the Important tag to this folder. Notice that doing this doesn't tag all the files within the folder, but you are able to access all these files when viewing the folder from the Tag section in the Finder. Tagging a folder and not all the files within it can help reduce clutter when viewing the tag. If I tag all the files in this folder with the Important tag, they will then also all appear when the tag is selected in the Finder sidebar. This might work great for you, but I tend to prefer just tagging the folder and then viewing the files within the folder when I choose to view the folder's contents. Tags can be used when making smart folders as well. If I want a smart folder that contains only the files and folders that I have both the Important and Home tags assigned to, I can create one that uses the Tags attribute. In this case, I want 2 tag attributes, one that is the Home tag and one that is the Important tag. Now this folder will display only the files that have both of those tags assigned. I'm going to bring up my iPad now and open the Files app. Notice that this has all my tags available here. Tap on the Home tag and the same result appears here as it does on my Mac. This is because I have iCloud Drive activated, and my desktop and documents folders are being synced. If I were to then tag a file here in the Files app, it's going to sync with the tags on my Mac, and after a few seconds it'll appear when I select its tag in the Finder. So assigning tags on your Mac and iOS devices can be a very powerful method of organizing your files and folders. The Share command can be accessed by using this button, the File menu, or with a right click on the item that you want to share. From here in the Finder, I can use it to quickly share files or folders. If I click the Share button with this image file selected, I'm able to share via a variety of apps. Select Mail and the file is added to a new mail message. I also have the option to quickly add this image into my photo library. If you have iCloud Drive activated, it's going to appear as a sharing option as well. Depending on what you're sharing, the items available in the Share menu are going to change. If I select a PDF file and right-click to get to the Share menu, only Messages, Mail, AirDrop, and Notes are available to share to. I can't share a PDF into my photo library. The Share button will also be available in a lot of apps, such as Safari, from where I could share a web page or an article. I will often share web pages to the Notes app when doing research for a project or on a travel destination. From the Contacts app, we can quickly share a contact file. And from Maps, we can share a map or a specific route. Use AirDrop to share a route to your iPhone before you head out the door. We'll look more at using AirDrop later on. In the Extensions System Preference pane, we can control what items are available in our Share menu. If I activate Day 1 here, it will then be an option when sharing a file. So be on the lookout for the Share button or the Share menu when you're using your Mac. It can be really handy when you quickly want to send a bit of information. On the bottom of your Mac's display is the dock. This customizable strip of icons lets you launch applications, view folders, or open files without needing to open a Finder window to locate them. To open an application or a file from the dock, just single-click on it. To signify an app that's already open, a black dot is going to be displayed underneath that application's icon. The icons on the dock can be added, removed, or rearranged by drag and drop. To rearrange, simply click and drag on an icon to wherever you'd like it to stay. To remove an item from the dock, just drag it off the dock and release when this Remove pop-up appears. To add an application to the dock, you need to locate it in the Finder and then drag it into the dock. The dock will automatically make a space for it and let you drop it in. I'll add numbers to the dock. When an app is running, it will always appear on the dock with a black dot underneath it, whether or not it permanently resides in the dock. So if I open a Pages document, the Pages app will launch and appear on the right side of the dock. If I then quit Pages, the icon will disappear from the dock. If I then reopen Pages and right or Control-click on its dock icon, I can set it to stay in the dock permanently from the Options menu here. As you can see, we can also set it to automatically open when I log into my Mac, display the application file in the Finder, or I can assign the app to any of my desktops or spaces. We'll talk more about these in the Mission Control lesson in the System Preferences section of the tutorial. Above the Options menu, we get a list of recent documents opened in Pages and any documents that are currently open. If I open this newsletter sample in Pages, here in the Dock menu, both open documents are now listed, but the one with the check mark next to it is the one that I'm currently viewing. Below the Options menu, we can choose to view all the windows that are currently open in Pages. Selecting this gives me a full screen view of both documents open in Pages and a selection of recent documents below. We can also hide the application here, which will remove any open Pages documents from my view. We can get them back instantly by clicking on the Pages icon in the dock. Finally, we can quit the app from here in the dock. To add a folder or a file to the dock, we will use the same method as an application, but you must add it to the right side of the dock divider here. So I'll drag in the note-taking Pages document and this projects folder. Now I can quickly open the note-taking document from right here in the dock with one click. Click on the project folder, and I can now see all the files within it. Click on a file to open it. Or click Show in Finder to display the folder contents in a Finder window. Right-click on a folder in the dock to change how it's displayed. Currently, this folder is set to display as a stack. This means that files in the folder will be visible in the dock as stacked icons. Switch to Display as Folder, and now a standard folder icon is shown. We can also set how the content of a folder is displayed. Currently, this is set to Automatic, so depending on how many files are in the folder, the Mac is going to choose how to display them. Currently, it's choosing the fan option, since there are only a few files in the folder. Choose the grid view, and the folder contents are displayed in a grid pattern. Select List, and a simple list is displayed. I tend to prefer to display folders in the dock as a folder and with the grid display. We'll talk more about the dock and all its options coming up in the System Preferences section of the tutorial. Desktop stacks might remind you of the stacks feature that's been available in the dock for many years now. Stacks in the dock are still available, as we can see here, with the Documents and Downloads folders available as stacks here in the dock. These are based on folders. Any folder that I drag down here from a Finder window becomes a stack in the dock. Desktop stacks work differently in that they're arranged automatically. I can't add a single folder as a desktop stack. So currently I have a bunch of files scattered on my desktop. These are a mix of file types with some PDFs, some images, and a few other document files. To start using desktop stacks, we just need to go to the View menu while the desktop or Finder is selected and choose Use Stacks. That will instantly organize everything on the desktop into stacks. Right now, all the individual files are organized by kind. The three kinds of files I had on the desktop were documents, PDFs, and images. Notice that the two folders on the desktop are not included in any of the stacks. When I double click on these folders, they'll open in a Finder window just like normal. If I click on the document stack, it expands to display the document files that were on the desktop. I can now work with these normally. Double click to open, move the file somewhere else, or even put it in the trash. The document stack is going to remain expanded until I click on its arrow icon again. We can open all three stacks at once to view all the files on the desktop. Let's close all these stacks now and take another look at the View menu. Under the Use Stacks item, we now get a Group Stacks By menu. Currently, these stacks are grouped by kind. We can also choose from several date-based options that, when selected, will create the stacks to represent that option. Select the Tags option and the desktop files will group into stacks based on the tags applied to them. If I tag a couple of these files that are currently in the No Tags group with the blue Home tag, they will then be grouped into a new stack for that tag. I tend to prefer using desktop stacks arranged by kind. If you tend to keep a lot of files on your Mac desktop, stacks could be a great option to cut down on clutter. In fact, we can even switch between a cluttered, manually organized desktop and desktop stacks by unchecking the Use Stacks option in the View menu. The original location of all the files on the desktop is retained, so we can quickly jump between self-organization of the desktop or the automatic organization provided by desktop stacks. Quick Look allows us to get a visual preview of a file without opening that file in an app. To use Quick Look, we just need to select one or multiple files in the Finder and then press the space bar. Hit the space bar again to close the preview. There are several image files in this folder. When I Quick Look one, I can then use the arrow keys to move through the rest of the files in the folder, and Quick Look remains active. I need to hit the spacebar to exit Quick Look. We can also Quick Look multiple files at once. So I'll select a bunch of these and then press the spacebar. Now in the Quick Look window, I can use the arrow keys to move through the selected files. Click on the Thumbnails button over here to view a preview of all the selected files at once. Click on a thumbnail to expand it. Quick Look provides some tools when viewing certain file types. With this image file, we can use markup to quickly add a sketch, text, or shape onto the image. We're also able to rotate the image or share it. In the case of a PDF file, we could use markup to place a signature. Quick Look a video file and it'll begin to play. To pause it, we need to click the pause button down here. Hitting the spacebar is going to close it. We can move the playhead here as well as adjust the volume. At the top of the Quick Look window, we can trim the video by dragging the endpoints. To save these changes, click Done, or click Revert to go back to where we started. Certain files can be expanded to full screen well in Quick Look using the full screen button here in the upper left. Hitting the spacebar doesn't exit full screen. We need to use the buttons here to either exit full screen or close the preview completely. While viewing a file in Quick Look, the app set to open that file will appear in the upper right. So for images and PDFs, this will be the Preview app. For spreadsheets, it'll probably be Numbers. Just click to fully open the file in that app. Certain third-party file types, like Pixelmator, can't be fully previewed with Quick Look. Using Quick Look on these Pixelmator profiles just expands the icon. We can still share the file or choose to open it in Pixelmator Pro. So Quick Look can be a great help when you're viewing files and you'd like to see the details in the document or image more clearly without having to take the time to launch the file in its corresponding app. The home folder on your Mac is where files that you create or save are stored. It's represented by a little house icon. The home folder always takes your user's short name and cannot be changed. There's a home folder for every user account on your Mac. We'll cover user accounts in the System Preferences Users and Groups lesson later on. For now, let's take a look at how you get to your home folder and what resides in it. The home folder exists within the Users folder, which is in the top level of your Mac's hard drive. When I select Macintosh HD here in the Devices section of the Finder Sidebar, I see the top level of the drive, which has the Applications, Library, System, and User folders. You're able to create folders or save files here, but I recommend that you try to keep anything you create or save inside your home folder. If I click on Users, we can see 5 folders. These reflect the 4 user accounts I have on this Mac, plus the shared folder. The home folder of the user account that I'm logged into, which is the Mac U, gets this house icon. Click here and we can see the 7 folders currently in my home folder. We can also view these by clicking right here on the home folder in the Favorites section of the Finder Sidebar. I currently have 7 folders in here. You could have more. 2 significant folders are missing here for me. These are Desktop and Documents. They're not here because I have the Desktop and Documents sync feature turned on in iCloud Drive Preferences. Those 2 folders are moved into the iCloud Drive section of the Finder Sidebar. They will behave the same as if they were still in the home folder though. As we mentioned in the desktop lesson, any files in your desktop folder will be visible on the desktop and vice versa. Having a desktop folder allows you to save and retrieve items on the desktop when you might not have easy access to it, if you're in a save or open window for instance. The Documents folder is where you can store pretty much any file. It's really up to you what folders to create inside and how you want to keep it all organized. Now let's jump back into the Mac U home folder. First here we have the Applications folder, which in my case is empty. This folder is not the main Applications folder on your Mac. When you install an app, it's going to be saved in the Applications folder on the top level of your drive. This allows all the apps to be opened by any user account on the Mac. If I were to move an app to the Applications folder in the Mac U home folder, it's only going to be able to be viewed by this user account. If I go out to the Users folder and take a look inside one of the other home folders while logged into the Mac U account, notice that I can't view inside any of these except the public folder, which we'll talk about more in a second. Back in the Mac U home folder, we have the Downloads folder. This will automatically take in everything that you download from your web browser, the Messages app, and the Mail application when you save attachments. It's a good idea to go through and organize these files into different folders or move them to the trash regularly to avoid accumulating hundreds of downloaded files into this folder. The Movies folder is where iMovie is going to store all the files for your movie projects. This is also a good spot to organize small movie files that you won't be using in iMovie. The Music folder is where iTunes stores all your iTunes library content. It's best to organize your music in the iTunes application and let this folder be for the most part. GarageBand projects are also stored here in the Music folder by default. Next, we have the Pictures folder. Like iTunes, if you're using the Photos app to organize your pictures, use its interface and don't worry much about this folder. However, if you have certain photos that you won't be keeping forever for a separate project or what have you, this is a good place to create a folder and store pictures. The Public folder is another place where you can share files with other users on your Mac. If I go back to the Admin User folder, notice that the only folder that I can look into is the Public folder. I don't have permission to view any of the other folders. Inside this Public folder, I can see that there's a file that I can open or save where I want. There's also a Dropbox folder. I can't view what's in this folder, but I can add files to it. The Swanson Digital user can then view that file when they are logged in. Do note that this Dropbox folder doesn't have anything to do with the Dropbox Cloud Storage Service. Dropbox the service is one word, and this is two. Finally, we have the Sites folder. In here, you can actually add websites and serve them to your local network. This means other computers on your same Wi-Fi or wired network are going to be able to go to your Mac's IP address in a web browser and view the website stored in this folder. Another way to access your home folder and much of its contents is through the Go menu up in the menu bar. From here, I actually have access to several folders, many of which are also in the Home folder. Choose Home and my Finder window switches to the Mac U Home folder. From the Go menu, I can also choose Computer, which displays every internal, external, or network shared drive that my Mac is attached to. Notice that there are keyboard shortcuts for every one of these locations. You can quickly get to your desktop files by typing Shift-Command-D, or to your applications with Shift-Command-A. The Go menu also displays a list of recent folders. So if you close a Finder window on accident, or just don't remember where you saved a folder, if it was opened recently, it should be in this list. Spotlight can help us quickly find apps, documents, emails, and other items on your Mac. With Siri suggestions, we can also get news, sports scores, weather conditions, stock prices, and more. Spotlight can even perform calculations and conversions. We can activate Spotlight by clicking on the magnifying glass icon up here in the menu bar. Or for quicker access, use the keyboard shortcut Command Spacebar. We can move the Spotlight panel around the screen. The location where we leave it is where it will appear next time it's activated. Let's run through a bunch of examples of what we can use Spotlight for. First, let's search for and open a file. I'll enter the file's name, and notice here at the top that I could do a search for this term in Safari. But we have the result that I'm looking for here, which is this Pages document. Single click to select it here in Spotlight. Then hold down the Command key, and we're shown where this file is saved within the Finder. In this case, it's in the Documents folder that's on iCloud Drive. Double-click the result to open the file. Back in the Spotlight results, we can click and drag on the file and then copy it onto the desktop or into any other folder. Spotlight is also a great way to launch apps. I'll enter Contacts. The top result is the Contacts app, which is automatically selected or highlighted. So all I need to do now to launch the app is hit the return key. Of course, a double click would work here as well. We can use Spotlight to find system settings panels without having to launch the settings app first. I'll enter the term displays, and the first result is the display's system setting. Hit return and it opens the settings app to that section. When viewing a list of results in Spotlight, use the up or down arrow keys to move through them. With this result, I can launch the specific panel to arrange multiple displays. Enter the name of a person or business saved in your contacts, and we get a quick action button that can quickly send a message or write an email to that contact. Spotlight can find events that are saved in our calendar. We're able to search for specific event names, or we could search for a time frame, such as events next week. Spotlight can do basic calculations and instant conversions, whether that's for currency, temperature, or speed. Enter a city and then the word weather to open its forecast in the Weather app. We can search for a specific location or business, and Spotlight will display basic information like its distance from you and business hours. Click to display it or get directions to it in the Maps app. Enter a flight number, such as United 2107, and that flight's information can be displayed within Spotlight. If the flight is currently en route, a map will appear with its approximate location and flight path. Spotlight can be used to look up definitions. Click on the result to open the dictionary app, where we can also access a thesaurus, an Apple glossary, and Wikipedia. For pretty much any Spotlight search, we can always expand it to Safari and search the full web. Just click the term or one of the suggested search terms that have the Safari icon next to them. Spotlight also has its own system setting, which we can launch from Spotlight itself. From here, we can uncheck certain categories if we'd rather not see those in any Spotlight search results. For instance, if I don't want calendar events to appear in my Spotlight results, I can just uncheck it here, and if I search for the term meeting, nothing from calendar will be listed. Turn off the Siri suggestions option, and Spotlight will only search the contents of my Mac. No suggestions from the web will appear. So that should get you started with what can be done with Spotlight Search in macOS. It could become an indispensable and very commonly used tool, with its command space shortcut becoming a reflexive action for quick access. Siri is probably most associated with iOS on our iPhones and iPads, but Siri works on the Mac too. It can do everything on the Mac that it does on iOS, like adding calendar events, launching apps, getting the weather, etc. So first, let's see how Siri can be invoked on the Mac. When you install or upgrade macOS, you're going to be asked if you want to enable Siri on this Mac. If you say yes, a Siri icon is going to be added to the dock and up in the menu bar. Siri also exists as an app here in the Applications folder. Siri gets its own system preference pane, where we can enable or disable Siri altogether, as well as set the keyboard shortcut, choose the language used, change Siri's voice, and whether or not Siri will give you voice feedback when a request is made. Here in the keyboard shortcut menu, we have a few options. Of these, I prefer Hold Command and Spacebar. Command space is already the shortcut for bringing up Spotlight Search, but the Mac does a good job of knowing the difference between doing a quick press of Command space and holding these two keys down to start Siri. You can also set up a custom keyboard shortcut for Siri if you like. So now let's ask Siri a few questions. First, I'm going to do a web search for pictures of volcanoes. Search the web for pictures of volcanoes.
Here are some images of volcanoes I found on the web.
That shows us a selection of images. Select one of these and hit the space bar, and I can quick look it. Click and drag on an image and I can place it on the desktop or into a folder. Now let's search for some specific files. Show me the Pages documents that I opened today.
Here are all of the documents that were opened today.
That displays two files. Select one and hit the space bar to quick look, or double click to open it. So, utilizing Siri to locate specific files quickly can often be faster than navigating with the Finder to locate a file. One other task that I like using Siri for is starting a music playlist. Start the On the Road playlist. To see other suggestions, invoke Siri and wait a few seconds. A list of things that you can ask will then be presented. Notifications on the Mac will initially appear in the upper right of your display, either as a temporary banner or an alert that has to be clicked on to be dismissed or opened. So let's take a look at a banner notification. That slides in up here. As long as I don't interact with it, it's going to automatically slide away as well. This is going to remain in Notification Center, which can be viewed with a click on the date and time up here in the menu bar, or a swipe in with two fingers from the right edge of your trackpad. I have one older notification in here from the Reminders app. Due to it being time sensitive, it remains at the top of the notifications list. The rest of these below are widgets, which we'll go over in the next lesson. Hover over the email notification and click on the Options button to reply to the email, mark it as read, or delete it. Click the turn down triangle here in the upper right, and the email will expand, which will allow for longer emails to be viewed right here in Notification Center. Click Reply, and the Mail app is opened up with a reply to this email ready to go. Once I open the email, its notification is removed from Notification Center. Now let's look at a notification alert. To assign what type of notification is used for each app, we need to jump into the Notifications pane of System Preferences. In here, we have a list of apps that can use the notification system. I'll select Mail and switch from banners to alerts. So now when a new email comes in, we get an alert notification. This one won't slide away after a few seconds like the banner notification did. When I hover over it, the same options appear. To get rid of the notification, I'll need to click the X here to close it, or click elsewhere on the notification to open the email. Alert notifications never end up saved in Notification Center. Now let's look at what it's like to have several notifications appear from one app. In this case, they're going to be banner notifications from the Messages app. As the messages come in, we can see the banner notifications start to pop up, one after another. open Notification Center now, and they're all stacked since they came from the same app. Click to expand the stack of notifications. We can now read them and interact with each one individually. Under Options, we can choose to Show More, which will display the entire message, and provide a text field, which can be used to reply directly to the message from here within the notification. We can also mark each message as read, or dismiss each notification individually. Click Show Less up here to stack the notifications again, or click on the big X to dismiss all the notifications from the Messages app. We'll look more at how to manage notifications later on in the System Preferences section of the tutorial. Next up, we'll go over widgets. Widgets let us quickly access information from or interact with an app without launching it. You'll probably be more familiar with widgets from using iOS. Widgets on the Mac can exist within Notification Center or on the Mac desktop. To view Notification Center, click the date and time up in the menu bar, or use a two-finger swipe in from the right edge of your trackpad. I have a couple calendar widgets and a weather widget here already. To add one of these to the desktop, just drag and drop. Once placed on the desktop, right-click on it to edit the widget. I'll make this weather widget larger. Click and drag, and we can position the widget anywhere on the desktop. To add more widgets, click the Edit button here. That displays the widget gallery. From here, we can browse widgets and just click and drag them either into Notification Center or onto our desktop. I'm going to add a Reminders widget and a Photos widget and place both of those on the desktop. Notice as widgets are rearranged, guides will appear to help with alignment. When an app is launched, the desktop widgets dim and sort of blend into your desktop wallpaper. Only when the desktop is completely empty will the widgets take on their full color and opacity. I use a hot corner to clear all active widgets and view only the desktop. Invoking this hot corner will now show my desktop widgets in full color and opacity. We can set up hot corners at the very bottom of the Desktop and Dock settings window. Like on iOS, some widgets are now interactive. So I could mark off a reminder from right here in the desktop widget. If I add a podcast widget, we'll be able to play and pause the current episode from the widget.
Did you want to go out to the sea ice and go to the...
No, we'll just do what we did yesterday.
Okay.
If you have a widget that only exists on your iPhone but not on your Mac, it can still be added on your Mac. Notice here when browsing the widgets for calendar that we get two options, on my Mac or on my iPhone. My calendar app is synced between these devices, so these options won't really make any difference in this case. But for the Home Depot or CNN widgets, we only have the From iPhone option. There's no CNN or Home Depot apps for the Mac, which means there are no widgets. So this just gives us an option to have widgets that we like on our iPhone to be added on our Mac as well. Notice though that when I click on the CNN widget, it tells me to open the app over on my iPhone. It seems like it would be better if this opened the CNN website here on my Mac instead. So this widget is really just going to give me a quick look at the current headlines. We can turn off the Desktop Widgets option in Desktop and Dock settings. We can also deactivate the ability to use iPhone widgets here. For quick access to information from various apps, add widgets to Notification Center or onto your Mac's desktop. Launchpad is actually an app, which we can see here in my Applications folder, that displays all the apps installed on your Mac in a full screen grid. This is very similar to how apps and app folders are laid out on the home screen of an iPad or iPhone. With Launchpad active, we can single-click on an icon to launch that app. Notice that there can be multiple pages of icons here, depending on how many apps you have installed. I have 4 pages. We can move between these with a 2-finger swipe on the trackpad, or by clicking directly on any of the 4 dots below. Rearrange the icons by drag and drop. Drag one to the edge of the display to move it over to the next screen. So we're able to customize what apps are displayed on each of these screens, just like in iOS. We can even create app folders here in Launchpad by dragging one app icon on top of another. I'll put Pages, Numbers, and Keynote into a Productivity folder. Now I'm going to need to click on the folder to view and launch the apps within it. Notice that creating a folder here in Launchpad does not create that folder in the Finder. No Productivity folder was added here in the Applications folder in the Finder. We're also able to search for apps here within Launchpad. As I enter a search term, the results are displayed below. We can open Launchpad with a search for it in Spotlight by double-clicking on its icon here in the Applications folder, or we can move this to the dock for quicker access. But Launchpad can also be opened anytime with the keyboard shortcut Option-Command-L. This shortcut and many others can be deactivated or edited in the Shortcuts tab of the Keyboard System Preference pane. So if you're looking for a quick way to launch apps other than with the dock or a Spotlight search, Launchpad can be a good option. Now that we've covered where to find things on our Mac, let's talk about actually moving, copying, and opening files and folders. I'm going to start out here in my Documents folder and first do a simple move via drag and drop. I'll drag the Our Place in Cabo JPEG to the desktop. That moves it from the Documents folder to the Desktop folder. If I would have rather had copied the file, I can still drag and drop, but I'm going to need to hold down the Option key as I do so. Notice as I drag over my Documents folder, a small plus icon is added to the file, telling me that this is going to be copied, not just moved. So now I have the file in the Documents folder and on the desktop. We can also copy a file without needing to drag and drop. I'll right-click or 2-finger tap with the trackpad and then go down to Copy. Remember that every menu item that appears when I do a right-click is also going to be available up in the menu bar under the File or Edit menus usually. So after I choose Copy, the Mac remembers that command, and when I move to a different folder, say this Presentations folder that I have on the desktop, I can right-click again and choose Paste Item. Doing that copies the file into this folder. You may have noticed that I've sent items to the trash by right-clicking and choosing Move to Trash. Of course, we can also drag and drop into the trash. One other way to copy a file is to choose Duplicate after right-clicking. We can also do this by selecting the file and typing Command D. This creates a copy of the file that's renamed with the word copy in the file name. I can then move that file wherever I want. To rename a file, just select it and hit the return key. This is going to highlight the entire name text, so you can just start typing a new name. Now let's create a new folder. A folder can be created from the File menu in the Finder by right-clicking and choosing New Folder, or using the keyboard shortcut Shift-Command-N. A new folder appears with the name Untitled Folder highlighted, so I can just start typing to apply a name. I'll just call this one Files. Now we can start moving or copying files into this folder. We can click and drag over multiple files to select them and move them into a folder. We can also select multiple files or folders by clicking on one, holding down the Shift key, and then clicking on another, which will select all in between. We can select multiple files or folders that aren't in order by holding down the Command key and clicking on each. I'm going to move these files into this Samples folder by hovering over the folder, and after a couple seconds, the folder is going to spring open. So I could then go deeper into the folder hierarchy without needing to click or release the files that I'm moving. A great way to create a folder directly from a group of files is to select the files that you want, and then right-click on the selection and choose New Folder with Selection. This will automatically move all the selected files or folders into a new folder together. I can then name this new folder. If this isn't what I wanted to do, I could go to the Edit menu and undo to put the files back where they were before. Or just use the shortcut Command Z. Next up, we'll take a look at Smart Folders. Back in the Finder Preferences lesson, we touched on the search function built into the Finder. If I were to enter the word fragile here, the results would display just the document named fragile because I've set the Finder to search only in the current folder, which is Documents, not my entire Mac. Now let's change the search to JPEG. I'm going to select the kind category that appears here. So now the results will display any JPEG files in the Documents folder. Notice the Save and Plus buttons here in the upper right. Click the plus button and we can add parameters to this search. I'll add a last open date parameter and search only for files opened in the last 7 days. That takes the results down quite a bit. Now click the Save button and we can save this search as a smart folder. We can add this to the dedicated Saved Search folder or save the smart folder anywhere that I'd like to keep it. I'm going to save this on my desktop and choose to add it to my Finder Sidebar as well. I'll name it Recent Images. Click Save, and in the sidebar and over on my desktop, I now have a smart folder. Now if I open a few more JPEG files, they're going to appear in the smart folder since they've now been opened in the last 7 days. Right-click on the Recent Items Smart folder and choose Show Search Criteria to edit the parameters. I'm going to adjust the kind parameter to include any image file, so it doesn't just have to be a JPEG file anymore. Then I'll click the plus button here to add one more parameter. I'm going to go down to Other, and we get a gigantic list of options that can be used. I'll select File Size is greater than 500 kilobytes. So now this folder is going to display any file in the Documents folder that's an image file and has been opened in the last 7 days and is 500 kilobytes or more in file size. Let's do another example from the Applications folder. This time though, I don't want to enter a search term. I want this Smart folder to only look at the file type and date opened. To do that, I need to go to the File menu and create a new Smart folder. Now I can just add parameters to get the results that I want. I'm going to set a kind parameter for applications, and then only apps that have been opened in the last 5 days. Now if I save this, I can have quick access to my recently opened apps from here in the sidebar. Smart folders can be used to display results of a search that's ongoing, but they don't actually contain the files that they display. If I open the Recent Apps folder up tomorrow, and a few of these apps will have then not been opened for 5 days, they'll no longer appear in the Smart folder results. When we move a Smart folder to the trash, none of the files within it are actually removed or deleted. We're just removing the search parameters. In this lesson, we're going to go over the options that you have when saving a document. So let's open a new document in Pages. I'll choose one of the templates. It opens up as an untitled, unsaved document. There are a few ways that I can now go about saving this for the first time. I can go up to the File menu and Save, use the shortcut Command S, or just click on the name here at the top of the window. The panels that appear for each of these commands are basically the same. I'm able to enter a name for the document, apply tags, and choose a location to store it. Use this arrow button to expand or reduce the panel. I'm going to name this Architecture Report and apply the Work tag, which I can do by just entering the letter W. Then I need to choose a location. The default location for this file is the Pages folder within the iCloud Drive folder. From this menu, I can view the path to the default folder, as well as some recent folders. You will often find the location that you want to save the file is right here. We can also navigate to anywhere on the Mac's hard drive or to an external drive to save the document. Another way to save into a folder that you might already have open in a separate Finder window is to just drag that folder from the Finder window over to the Save panel. That will open up the folder in the Save window, so I can now save my document there. Now let's say that I want to save a different version of this document. To do that, I can select Duplicate in the File menu, or type Shift-Command S. That gives me another new document in a new tab that I can save elsewhere. I'll type Command S and name this one Architecture Report 2. I'll again add the Work Files tag, and this time save it in the Pages folder on iCloud Drive. We can view both of these Architecture Report files if I select the Work Files tag here in the Finder. Both will also appear in a Spotlight search. Choosing where to save documents is obviously important. If you'll be potentially opening a document on multiple devices, saving to iCloud Drive might be the best choice. I have iCloud Drive activated with the Desktop and Documents folder option turned on as well. So anything that I save into my Documents folder or the desktop is going to be synced with iCloud. along with anything else that's in the iCloud Drive folder. If you don't have this option turned on, saving to the Documents folder on your Mac won't sync the file with your other iCloud-enabled devices. The saved file will only exist on the Mac. For more on using iCloud, take a look at the full tutorial. AirDrop is a great way to send files back and forth between two Macs, two iOS devices, or between a Mac and iOS device. With AirDrop, the devices don't need to be on the same network. They do need to have both Wi-Fi and Bluetooth turned on. We'll talk a little more about both of these coming up in the System Preferences section of the tutorial. But up in Control Center, you can see that both are activated on this Mac. Over in the Finder Sidebar is an AirDrop folder. In here, all the AirDrop-enabled devices or people in my contacts that are nearby will appear. I'm going to pull up my iPad's display now. Once the iPad is unlocked and AirDrop is activated, it will appear here in my AirDrop folder as Warren Swanson with the device type listed below. Full names will only appear here when you have the owner of the device saved in your contacts. Otherwise, you will only see the device name, such as Drew's iPad or MacBook Pro. For a Mac, the device name is set in the Sharing System Preference pane. Notice down here that we can allow this Mac to be discovered on AirDrop by everyone, contacts only, or no one. With contacts only on here, only those that have me saved in their contacts app with my associated Apple ID email or phone number will be able to see this device as available for AirDrop. Let's start by sharing something from my iPad to the Mac using AirDrop. So I'll tap and hold on this image in the Files app and then tap the Share button. AirDrop exists within the Share sheet in iOS. Any sort of file, link, or document that you can share can also be AirDropped. Tap on the AirDrop icon to see what devices are available for AirDrop. Currently, only my Mac is available. So now I'll unlock my iPhone. It then appears on my iPad and in the AirDrop folder over on the Mac. If I then lock the iPhone, it will go away as an AirDrop option. So let's send this photo from my iPad to the Mac via AirDrop. I'll just tap on the MacBook Pro here, and the file copies into the Downloads folder on the Mac. Now let's send this newsletter sample Pages document from the Mac to the iPad. There are a couple different ways to share from the Mac. First, I can select the file right here in the Finder and click the Share button and then choose AirDrop. I could also share this document directly from within the application, in this case Pages. Go to the Share menu, Send a Copy, and choose AirDrop. In this case, I then need to select the format that I want to send it in. It's also possible to drag and drop files directly onto the device that we want to AirDrop them to from here in the Finder. This time I'm going to send the file over, and it will open up in Pages for iOS on the iPad. AirDrop is really easy to use and a super fast way to share files, links, maps, and other items between your own devices or with others. Utilizing Bluetooth, it can be done out on the street from device to device. No need to go through a Wi-Fi network. Along with AirDrop, App Handoff is part of what Apple refers to as continuity features in macOS and iOS. App Handoff can be used between two Macs, two iOS devices, or between a Mac and iOS device. Unlike AirDrop, which lets you send files between devices, App Handoff will let you send the current state of an app from device to device. Let's start in Mail here on my Mac. I'll compose a new message and enter a recipient and subject. Now let's bring up the display of my iPad. For App Handoff to work, these devices need to be signed into the same iCloud account. In my Mac System Preferences General pane, Allow Handoff must be checked here. And in the General Settings section of iOS, Handoff must be switched on. Notice the mail icon in the right side of the iPad dock. This is letting me know Handoff is available from a Mac. Notice the Mac icon in the corner. If I start using a different app on the Mac, the Handoff icon goes away here on the iPad. When I come back into the Mail app on the Mac, the icon reappears. Tap on this and the new message opens up on the iPad, right where I left off, and it's closed on the Mac. Let's do this now from the iPad. I'll reply to an email here, and notice on the left side of my Mac's dock now is a mail icon with an iPad symbol in the upper right. This is the App Handoff icon. Click on it and Mail for Mac is going to open with the reply message and the text that I've added. On my iPad, the message has been closed. Now let's do this from a different app. I'll go into Maps on the Mac. I have a route entered here. This time, I'm going to bring up my iPhone display. And to use Handoff with an iPhone, we need to go to the App Switcher. At the bottom of the display, the App Handoff icon will appear. Tap to open up this route in Maps from my Mac via Handoff. This can be really great if you're planning a route on your Mac and want to quickly get it over to your iPhone as you head out the door. There's another feature that works if Handoff is activated on your devices, and that's Universal Clipboard. This lets us copy some text on one device, my Mac in this instance, and paste it on another. So with this text copied, I'll jump over to the iPhone and paste the text into a new note. Again, these devices need to be signed into the same iCloud account and have Handoff turned on for this all to work. Lots of apps will work with Handoff, including almost all of Apple's built-in apps and many third-party apps. iCloud Drive uses iCloud servers to store and sync files and folders. You can sync iCloud Drive with your other Macs or iOS devices like an iPad or iPhone. We can activate iCloud Drive from the iCloud section of the Apple ID System Preference pane. Click the Options button, and we can choose to deactivate iCloud folders for certain apps. If I don't want a folder for Numbers documents to appear in the iCloud Drive folder, just uncheck Numbers here. At the top of this list, we have Desktop and Documents folders activated. Having this on is going to sync the contents of the Desktop and Documents folder on this Mac with iCloud. If I activate this on another Mac, the Desktop and Document folders on the two machines are going to remain synced via iCloud. Anything synced with iCloud Drive can also be accessed on iCloud.com. So even if I'm away from any of my personal devices, I can pretty much use any Mac, PC, tablet, or smartphone to access the iCloud.com website and download the files I need. Let's look again at the app-specific folders here in iCloud Drive. These folders can only contain that app's document type. So in the Numbers folder are only Numbers spreadsheets. If I try to move one of these into the Pages folder, I'm not able to drop it in. It will just end up on its own here in the iCloud Drive folder. We can create our own folders here in iCloud Drive though. So if I make a new folder called Recipes, I can then drop the Pasta Numbers document in there. Over on my iPhone, I can view iCloud Drive using the Files app. The folder that I just created is already synced, and I could open the pasta recipe in Numbers for iPhone. The Files app is where we can access all our iCloud Drive folders on any iOS device. iCloud Drive makes it really easy to access all sorts of files on your devices. But items stored on iCloud Drive will count against your iCloud storage allotment. We can see exactly what's being used in our iCloud storage back in iCloud System Preferences. I'm currently subscribed to the 50 gigabyte plan, which is the first step up from the free 5 gigabytes you get with an Apple ID or iCloud account. Click Manage to see what exactly is using the iCloud storage space. For me, it's mostly photos and iCloud backups. Finally, we need to mention the Optimize Storage option. This can be great if you have a Mac with a smaller storage drive than your main Mac, such as this MacBook Air that only has 128 gigs of storage. I can still have iCloud Drive activated on here, but with Optimized Storage turned on, not all my iCloud Drive folders and files will be automatically downloaded to this Mac. They're going to be available to download from iCloud as I need them. Here in the iCloud Drive folder, notice there are download icons next to many of the folders and files. This means that they're currently stored in iCloud, not on this Mac. We can click on the download icon, or right-click on the file and choose Download Now to save the file to this Mac. Right-click on a file or folder that has been downloaded and choose Remove Download to erase the file from the Mac but not iCloud. To completely delete a file from the Mac, iCloud, and any other devices that it's been synced to, move it to the trash and then empty the trash. For more on using iCloud Drive, take a look at the full iCloud tutorial. The trash in macOS is represented by a trash can icon on the far right side of the dock. This will always remain here and can't be removed. The trash is what is used to remove files from our hard drives, either internal or external. Moving items to the trash can be achieved in several ways. First, we can simply drag and drop files or folders from a Finder window or our desktop. We also have a Move to Trash command in the File menu when an item is selected in the Finder. This is also available when we right-click on a file or folder. And the keyboard shortcut to move a selected item to the trash is Command-Delete. We can do all of these when multiple items are selected as well. When we move items into the trash, they're not deleted immediately from the Mac. The trash actually exists as a folder, which we can open with a click on it in the dock. That displays the contents of the trash. Here in the upper right, we have an Empty button. Click this and all the items in the trash will be permanently deleted if we approve it in this warning. We can also empty the trash with a right-click on the trash icon in the dock or from the Finder menu. There's also a keyboard shortcut to empty the trash, which is Shift-Command-Delete. Anytime that we choose to empty the trash, this warning will pop up, letting us know that the items will be permanently deleted. Right-click on a single item that's in the trash, and we have the option to only delete it immediately and keep the rest of the items in the trash. This can be useful if you're getting rid of a large file to clear up space. If there's something in the trash that you didn't actually want to delete, we can right-click and choose Put Back. This will return the item to the exact location that it was removed from when it was put in the trash. It's important to empty the trash on a somewhat regular basis, to avoid potential performance issues with your Mac. To remove any concern with that, we can set the trash to be emptied automatically every 30 days from the Advanced tab of Finder settings. To wrap up this lesson, I'll empty the trash, which leaves an empty trash can icon on the dock. From the Mac Finder, we can quickly rename several selected files at one time. This can be useful if you have imported a set of files from a camera or a different app that are automatically named. In this Utah folder, there are several JPEG files that were given generic names by the camera that they were imported from. With Batch Rename, we can quickly give these files a more unique and recognizable name. So I'm going to select them all and then right-click and choose Rename. In the window that slides down, we can control how these files will be renamed by replacing text, adding text, or by formatting with a new naming scheme. I'll start with Replace Text. In the Find field, we need to enter the piece of text that we want to replace, which in this case will be the letters DSC, which is in each file name. I'm going to replace that with Utah. Notice we're shown an example of how the file name will look below. Click Rename, and all the files are renamed at once. If the renaming process didn't go as expected, use the shortcut Command-Z to undo that. Now let's add text. This is going to retain all the current file name, but it'll add text either before or after that name. I'll add Utah again and put it before the current name. Finally, we can rename the files using the Format option. In this menu, we can select from three name formats: Name and Index, which will include the text that I enter in the custom format field below, and a number. We can choose which number to start from here. Name and Counter will add a 5-digit counter to the name, and the Name and Date option will add the date and time that the file was renamed along with the custom format text. For these images, I'm going to go with Name and Index. In the custom format field, I'll enter Utah and start with number 1 after the name. Click Rename, and the new file names are applied.